and the doctors say, hey, so one, you're not going to play football this fall. Two, you should probably never play football again or any other contact sport. And for me, that was like, what do you mean I can't play football? Is all I want to do.
Welcome. My name is Mike Lacey, and I am grateful and kind of intimidated that Mr. Tyler Batty is sitting across the table from me. It is so good to have you here, Tyler.
Happy to be here. Yeah, you bet.
I've enjoyed watching you as a fan of BYU football and sports in general. You're one of those guys that plays with your, some people say hard on your sleeve, but you just play with like you're having fun out there.
We do. We have a lot of fun.
Tell me why football is so fun for you.
I've just enjoyed it since forever. For as long as I can remember, I've just enjoyed playing football. It's just been, one of the favorite activities in my life. And so, yeah, I really enjoy being out there.
And you can tell. And like you said, your team looks like it's having a lot of fun out there too.
We are. Yeah, this year has been a lot of fun.
Wow. I mean, we're taping this and we'll probably put you out a little sooner because we probably will have some more fresh takes on what's going on, especially. But this is Monday after the UCF victory, which was a great victory. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's fun to see both sides of the ball. In fact, all three teams, the special teams, offense and defense, getting better, improving.
Yeah.
What's going on?
That's been a big focus, of ours this season is, since the beginning of the season, focusing week by week, say, hey, let's go 1-0 every week, right? Let's just focus on taking care of business this week and we'll worry about next week, right? But another part of that is just trying to get better each week, that's been another big message and just something that we've tried to accomplish is like, hey, if we can get better each week and continue to learn and improve, by the end of the season, we'll be playing our best football, and that's where we want to be.
And I see that. For example, 2 weeks ago or a week ago when you played Oklahoma State, there were some hiccups,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What happened?
There's going to be some rough
You
patches,
still came
right?
away with a
Yes.
win. I mean, that's the critical thing.
I props to Oklahoma State. They gave us a run for our money. They were coming off a bye. They had prepared really well, and they had done their due diligence. They were ready for that game. Not to say that we weren't. I think we also prepared really, really well. But Oklahoma State's a great team. I don't think their record reflects it.
You're right.
But when you have one of the best running backs in the nation and you return virtually your entire team and
they played in the championship
and you
last
played
year.
in the Big 12 championship the year before, they're still a good team. Winning's hard.
The parity
Yeah.
in college football, especially with portal and NIL, and we'll talk about these things later, but, I mean, to go 8-0 where you are now
Yeah.
is exciting. I wouldn't say lucky because I see you guys and your team doing things that are uniquely different to this era of BYU football. So expand on, what makes this team different for you?
We had a long off season to think about our shortcomings last fall.
Last year was frustrating.
Last year was really frustrating. We came so close in so many situations. We let a lot of games just slip through our fingers. We had games won, you know what I mean, and we gave it up. It's really, really frustrating. And so,
And then you have to live all year with it.
right, but it was great motivation, as you can tell. Guys just, felt like they really, that we messed up, and we did, and we wanted to one show people who we were, who we really are, who BYU football really is. It was a big reason why I came back. It was just that same thing. It's like we have unfinished business to take care of.
I'm glad you came back, brother.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was like we came so close so many times that
You were
we needed to work the kinks out. We need to figure some stuff out and go out and put the real product on display.
and you can see that determination.
Oh yeah,
Not just in Mr. Tyler Batty, but in the defense, particularly
yeah,
all season, and now in the offense. And in my opinion, as a fan and a person who's been close to sports all my life, I see some things that happened in that Oklahoma State game that may have been blessings in disguise,
yeah, absolutely.
especially for our offense,
Right,
because they had to, let it all hang out,
right.
and now they have some new confidence.
Absolutely. I think again, it comes back to that just getting better week by week. You're gonna hit some rough patches.
You have to.
That's
Every team does.
inevitably. And it's really nice to be able to hit those rough patches and still pull out a win.
Amen.
And that's what the Oklahoma State game was for us. And so um it was difficult, right? And yeah, it came down to the wire, but we were able to pull it out and learn our lesson. And like you said, um, it gave the team confidence. We have a locker room, like you said, we have guys who don't quit. And I totally agree. We have a bunch of guys who do not quit and a bunch of guys who love playing football. And when you get that combination, it's really special.
It's interesting. This comes off the top of my mind, but I think the average fan is not aware of how a college football program is run, especially relative to sports in general or high school. And so my question is, at least in my experience playing offense and defense back at BYU when I was there, in spring ball, the offense and the defense weren't friends.
No, no.
Is it still that
It's
way?
spring ball and fall
But
camp.
you're on the
Yeah.
same team, Tyler.
Yeah,
Tell me
exactly.
why. Tell me why.
Well, so it's an interesting dynamic,
It
right?
is.
Because you are on the same team, but for 2 months out of the year, you're not, right? All of March and all of August, you're pretty much enemies with the guys across from you. It really comes down well, first off, you're out there and you're battling every day. You're competing, you're working, you're trying to get better, but you have so many reps against the same guys, and you just get sick of looking at them. It's
And
just
they
like
get sick of
and they
looking
get
at you.
exactly, they get sick of looking at you. So after a weeks of this grind and you're spending, just all day just looking at these guys that you are so sick of, things get a little chippy, the emotions get high and it's good for the team, right? Because one, we're working on our craft, right? We're getting better. We're working on the fundamentals. We're getting better. And you saw that through spring ball. Spring ball was huge for our team, right? There was a lot of work done and there was a lot of progress made. Um and then again in fall camp, after taking a few months off out of pads, coming back and knocking off the rust and going back to competing. Fall camp was huge, and they're not the most maybe pleasant times at times, but it's instrumental for the team's growth.
And I'm thinking your defense has changed so much fundamentally,
Absolutely.
which is really fun. In football, uh, what's the theme? It is better to give than to receive. In football, the person who receives the hit is usually the person who gets injured or
Yeah,
or takes the brunt of the hit.
rather be the hammer than the nail.
It's
Yeah,
true. It's true. And so defensively, you guys are more aggressive.
yeah,
I'm talking about systemically. I'm
absolutely.
not saying you weren't aggressive as a defensive end, but it's fun to see. So this leads me to another thing that you told me because I met Tyler Batty this summer at the 100 years of BYU football, and he graciously came with other players from the team and met with all of us old guys from prior generations of football. And what a fun experience. But do you remember what you told me at that?
I don't know.
It was kind of your challenge to yourself. I'm going to Do you remember?
I don't.
It was regarding sacks.
Oh, well, we probably shouldn't
What's
talk
your
about
goal?
that.
Well, I want you because of this. No, really. If I were your coach, I'd say that was an awesome goal, but you have to
Right.
share.
No. So honestly, I probably told you that I wanted to be somewhere in the double digits, right?
Yeah.
Is that along
Yeah,
those
I
lines?
remember that.
Yeah. So here we are. We're 8-0. So we're over halfway through the season. I have one sack.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
one
I
sack.
thought you had more.
No, I have as many interceptions as I do
So
sacks.
so
I'm at one apiece.
well, no, that leads right
Yeah.
to the next because now this defense that you run, I was at that game when you fell back into coverage as a defensive end. Now, for the casual observer,
Yeah.
typically defensive ends don't drop back into pass coverage.
Exactly.
And so when you're dropping back into pass coverage, you're not going to get any sacks because you're going to be back trying to be in the way of the quarterback's pass.
Exactly.
Now, you were in the way of that. Was it Arizona?
Yeah. Yeah. They or it was K State. It was K State.
Ooh,
It was
you
K
went
State.
big
They
with
ran
that.
they ran a little screen there into the boundary, and I was right there and ended up with the ball.
And you ended up with the ball and you even cradled it.
Yeah, I wasn't letting that go anywhere. I had an offensive lineman, right? So the way it worked out is I'm dropping back. I get my eyes to the receiver, I get my eyes back to the quarterback, and as I'm looking back, I see the offensive line progressing, right? So, okay, here they come down the field. This is a screen. So I start to creep up, getting ready to make contact with this offensive lineman, and then the ball squirts out. And so I see the ball, grab the ball, and at that point I was just like, I'm going down with it. I got it. I caught it. I'm going down with it. I'm not risking it, right? I'm going down, secure the
I wanted
interception.
to see you in the Heisman.
I would if I was in a little bit more open space without a 350-pound dude right in front of me, I probably would have tried to get a little loose there, but
But how many DNs get interceptions?
not very many.
Not very
Not very
many.
many.
And so I was curious because first of all, that's one of the reasons why you may not be achieving that goal that you had this summer. But what might be some well, no.
It's so no, that's a great point. And honestly, it's come down to one thing. We want to win.
Yeah.
We want to win, right? Defensively, in Coach Hill's schemes, guys are bought into the scheme. And so it's, hey, we want to win. And when you have that type of, let's say, selfless commitment to a broader goal, when guys don't necessarily care about their stats, when the focus is winning, and that's been it for me, right? Um I've missed a few sacks this year, right? I probably should have 4 or 5 maybe. I've missed a couple. But again, there also haven't been as many opportunities to get sacks as in years past. Um, just because of what we're doing and a lot of times I'll be eating up 2 or 3 blocks, right? And I'm fine with that, right? Because Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasker and Jacob Robinson are getting home, right? Other guys. And so this is actually a great stat to kind of illustrate this point. There's 11 players on our defense that have an interception,
Isn't that amazing?
right? So how
Yeah,
often do
through
you hear
eight
about that?
games.
Through
Through
8
eight
games,
games.
there's 11 different players who have intercepted a pass.
That's a big deal.
And so it's a different type of stat, but at the end of the day, when guys are focused on winning and it's like, look, hey, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll buy into my role and do my job and it's worked, and so that's been super special because you guys I mean, yes, do I want more sacks? Absolutely. I still want double digit sacks.
Go for it.
I love
And when you go
sacking the
into the
quarterback.
playoffs,
Yeah.
you'll have multiple games. I
No, but that's the idea is, hey, at the end of the day, what are we out here to accomplish, right? Are
yes.
we out here for individual stats and we're 0-8, or are you willing to sacrifice your individual stats for the greater good of the
For
team?
the good of the
Right,
team.
yeah, and we're at 8-0, and offensively, defensively, special teams wise, guys are bought into that and are just willing to do what it takes to win, which is cool.
A good example of that is when I was playing or even afterwards, but you think of the, Mark Wilson, Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Robbie Bosco, Tyler Detmer.
Yeah.
Those quarterbacks would frequently have 10 receivers that caught a pass
Oh,
in
yeah.
the game, you know? And now defensively, you guys are coming from so many different angles. Sometimes when you have a corner blitz, that D end has to drop back. And so you have to share, just like those
Yes.
receivers did with the quarterbacks. You have to share the limelight because this aggressive defense is causing all sorts of havoc that's giving other guys. You have 11 guys that have picks, but I bet you have similar numbers of that have sacks.
No, it's the truth. It's the truth, which is awesome. Again, and we have a great defense. We do. We have a bunch of veteran dudes who know football and again are willing to say, "Hey, let me know what I need to do to help us win the game," and are willing to do that.
And I love it when I remember at the Waco game, there was a 4th and 1 near midfield.
Mhm.
And, Baylor had some momentum going at the time. You guys were well ahead. You guys shut them down. And at first I thought it was you, but it was one of the linebackers that came
Yeah.
crashing down and
Yeah,
hit the
Isaiah
gap.
Glasser came
Yeah,
screaming through the B gap and smoked him for like a 4-yard tackle for loss.
exactly.
Yeah.
On 4th and 1, which in years past that we probably would have given up 5 yards. But, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I'm just saying that you guys as a team are playing great defense, and I bet you ate up a couple blocks to open up that
Right.
linebacker to get through,
Right.
Isaiah Glasser.
Yeah, and it's and that's been fun, and that's been fun just because we have a few true freshmen who have interceptions, you know what I mean, or have QB pressures or have sacks, and so it's been fun to get everybody in the mix, and like you said, it also kinda can discombobulate offenses when they don't necessarily know where we're bringing heat from. If you look at this past game versus, UCF, it happened a couple different times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They slid the whole offensive line the wrong way, thinking that we're bringing pressure from a side that we're not, and then we bring pressure from the opposite side, and, that gets an offense on its heels really quick when you can't identify necessarily where the pressure's coming from because we really can bring it from anywhere, you know what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah, so
And
that's a lot of fun.
it's interesting. Do you feel like your team has this maybe is a trick question, but do you feel like your team has is faster per
Oh,
man
yeah, we are.
or you
No,
are?
no, no, so that's stuff that we measure. So, if you, so Skylar Main and Colby Clausen are dubbed our sports scientists.
Uh-huh.
I've worked with Skylar for a couple years prior to him getting hired on at BYU. Um, but those guys have done incredible things with our sports science with the football team. And man for man, we are faster.
Really?
And man for man,
Is
we're
it because of
actually
working out?
the way we're training, right? The
Okay.
the the approach that they've taken to training along with Coach Phyllis, he's our head strength coach, and his staff, the approach that we've taken to training and weightlifting, we're actually bigger, faster, and stronger. Right now, 8 weeks into the season, technically 9, than we were at the beginning of the season.
This is good news, Tyler.
So that's cool because typically the way things are is you get banged up, you probably get a little bit slower, you're not hitting the weight room as hard, so you're getting a little bit weaker, but we have actually they measure it. We measure that weekly, and so we're actually progressing, and that's really cool to see.
I won't ask you what your current 40 time is, but what will you run the 40 in the NFL? No, really. What do you think
That is a
your
great question.
potential is?
Um, I honestly would love to be in the 4.6s.
Good.
Yeah. That is kind of the goal. Um, I,
What are you like 6'5"?
yeah, right now I'm about 6'5" and 278.
Wow. So think of
So,
this as
if
a
I could
guy.
trim up a little bit and run somewhere in the realistically high to mid 4.6s, I would be stoked.
Good. That's awesome. I would not want a 6'5", 270-ish guy, coming at me at 4.67 for 40 yards.
Yeah.
That would hurt. Um, but what a change. What a fun year we're having.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
And tell us, I was intrigued. We talked with your dad last
Uh-huh.
week. Tell us about Edward's hands.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who don't know, my dad is a massive cowboy, uh,
He told me he's a
through and through.
horseman.
Yes, it's true. It's true because hence the name cowboy. He does not run cattle anymore.
Right, right.
And so he exactly he is a horseman through and through because that's what he deals with. We have about 40 head of horses down in Payson at my parents' place. I was born and raised in Payson, grew up on a horse from the time I can remember. Um but as I got older and as we grew up throughout the years, there were always horses around. So we grew up breeding and training and taking care of them, and so it was a lot of fun. Again, like I said, really, I just wanted to play football, but it was good experience and good development for me personally. It taught me how to work hard and a lot of different things. The Edwards hand side of that ties in. As I was growing up, my dad would have family friends over. He loves to share his passion, and so he was always trying to get people on horses. And so a lot of times, family friends, if they had a child or a relative with special needs, he would invite them over and get them on a horse. Equine therapy does wonders for those with special needs or veterans. And so there's tons and tons of benefits to it. When I was, let's see, this was 2020, so pretty much my freshman year at BYU. I I come in, COVID happens. Well, during COVID, Coach Ed Lamb and Coach Elisha Tuyaki were coming down and riding, right? They were coming down and working on the farm and riding, and Coach Ed Lamb, his son Edward, has special needs, and so uh, they would bring him riding, and we just saw.
In fact, I think your dad said that he had severe autism,
Yeah, he does. He
perhaps.
was yeah, he was pretty much nonverbal.
Right.
He had a he- at that point he had about 3 words in his vocabulary. No spatial recognition. So there were a lot of things that it helped with. So they came down and started riding, and like I said, we just saw a massive change in Edward. In the time of 6 months, 8 months, his vocabulary doubled. I think he was 12 or 13 at that point, and so for him to double his vocabulary in 6 months versus, 12 or 13 years, you know, that's a massive change.
And your father talked a little bit about the science of, how why equine therapy, affects people, especially with special
Yeah.
needs. So it's fascinating. And how did you get involved? Why?
It was really that. The progress that I mean, I had seen it in other people throughout the years, but really just the impact that it had, on the Lamb family and just being close with Coach Lamb, um, just to see that the impact it had on their family and the progress Edward made, uh, there was just a thought that we've gotta do a little bit more. You know what I mean? We've gotta get this to the point where we can help more people. Because there's a massive underserved community, especially here in Utah, of special need children and adults, whether they're autistic, whether they're Down syndrome. Um, there's a massive need that just isn't being met, and so that was the catalyst of just seeing Edward's progress and saying, "Man, we've got to do more. We've got to really get this ball rolling, and do it in a way that people don't have to pay." And so that's what it is. We do free equine therapy, right? And so all you have to do is show up. You know what I mean? Schedule a ride and show up. And so and the other part of that is we
And
want to
is
get the
that
families involved.
known as Edward's hands? Or
Yes. And so
okay.
that was the catalyst. And so um practically we went ahead and we said, all right, we need to kind of get the ball rolling in a bigger way. And so I started the nonprofit 501(c)(3) Edward's Hands. Edward, when he would ride, he would kind of flap his hands when he would get excited, and so and there's a dual meaning, right? One is Edward's hands, as in his action when he was riding, but also ranch hands when you think about it in
I
that
like that.
in that aspect. So that was kind of the
So
play there. But we got the ball rolling, and then officially became Edward's Hands there in summer of 2021. And so. since then, we've just been growing little by little, but, it's been a lot of fun, and it's cool. It's cool to be able to help people in that aspect.
You grew up on this ranch, and, the American dream is set our ranch. We're going to have our kids on the ranch. They're going to work hard. That'll teach them how to be hard workers.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up on your parents' ranch? And I understand you were the youngest
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 7.
of okay.
Yeah, youngest of 7. It was, um in the moment, how about this? In the moment, I did not like it that much. Looking back, I'm extremely grateful for it.
Why?
Like you mentioned, it taught you some invaluable skills. I'm blessed with
Disciplines and
yeah.
skills, right?
Yeah, no, it's the truth. I'm blessed with 2 incredible parents. Both my mom and dad are honestly so incredible, and just the lessons that they taught us, you know what I mean? Hard work. Hard work. Absolutely. Like, there's just things that have to be done, and it doesn't really matter how you feel.
You have to go do it.
You have to go do it.
And if the sun hasn't come up yet,
It doesn't matter.
but get out there.
Yeah, it taught you grit and resiliency and discipline, the importance of hard work and how to work hard. Um, and so I definitely attribute that. It sucks growing up because we were close enough to the subdivisions, you know what I mean,
Right.
that I could kind of like run through the fields and make it there and go hang out with my friends. And it kind of sucked because, like, to be honest, not a lot of them had chores. They didn't really
They
okay,
got to
take
sleep
out
in?
take out the trash, vacuum the
Yeah.
carpets. Okay, I'm like, all right, I'm up at 6 a.m. I'm changing sprinkler pipe, I'm feeding animals, I'm, putting in fences, whatever it was. Um, I was just like, man, this sucks. Weeding the garden. My mom has a massive green thumb, and we were blessed to have a massive garden as well. Well, the massive garden takes a massive amount of
Mhm.
work as
Yeah.
well. And
You gotta
so
go pick that
right,
stuff.
and so it's planting, it's weeding, it's watering, and so we had there were a significant amount of chores, right? There's just things that had to be done. And when I was younger, yeah, it sucked because I'm like, I want to go hang out with my friends. I don't want to be out here weeding and watering and changing things and feeding animals and
Tell us though, shortly.
yeah,
I understand. I watched the BYU Deep Blue, I think, and they interviewed you and your folks, and
yeah,
you had a little accident when you were out early in the morning moving the pipes.
yeah, I did. So that was going into my freshman year of high school. And so it was just another regular day on the farm. So I think it was June, um, of yeah, the summer before my freshman year. We had football later that morning, I think at like 8 a.m. or something like that, or 7 or 8 a.m. And so I had gotten up early. You got to change the sprinkler pipes on the hay, right? We raised alfalfa. You had to change the sprinklers every 12 hours, right? So 5 a.m., 5 p.m., or 6 a.m.,
That
6
was
p.m.
your job.
Yeah. So that's kind of my dad, gave me a little bit of money, especially once I was younger, just kind of just you do it. Once you got older, it's like, all right, I'll give you a little bit of money. You go down, you take
Okay.
care of it. Kind of part of the business. And um but that was just also, part of just helping out on the farm. And so, I would go down in the mornings, right, and change the sprinkler pipe. And so it was just another summer morning going down, gonna knock it out before I go to football. And so, uh, I go down, change the sprinkler pipe, coming back up the road, and that's the last thing I remember. And so,
You were
sure
on a four wheeler.
on a four-wheeler, found a helmet. Again, I've done this a million times, wasn't anything crazy. And again, it was early morning, the sun wasn't quite up, and,
I mean, you had to do it super early because you had football
right,
practice, right?
right, and so, yeah, it was
The sun wasn't
the
up.
sun wasn't up, coming back
A
up the
lot of your
road.
friends in those suburbs were still sleeping
They were
in.
sleeping in, but, coming back up the road, and, yeah, that was the last thing I remember until I woke up in primary children's. And so it was scary. I ended up
You had a head injury.
Yeah, so ended up cracking my skull and all my sinuses, had a brain bleed, and so it was serious. It was
Did
it
they
was
have to
serious.
open up your skull to make the brain
They
bleed
they
rears?
couldn't, and so that was the that was one of the issues is, um, the swelling on the brain was too extreme that they couldn't operate. And so that was kind of the message that they delivered to my parents was just, "Hey, we can't operate, and if the bleeding and the swelling doesn't stop, there's not
Not a lot they could do
there's not a lot we can do, and that's gonna be a wrap."
because your head hit a cedar post when you rolled over or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, when I crashed. So, yeah, crashed into a fence and just, it was a doozy, man, kinda messed myself up, so
So long, I mean, fast forward, or well, right then the doc told you and your folks,
well, they said it was kind of a wrap, and so it's like, "Hey, look, if it doesn't stop bleeding, that's gonna be it for Tyler." Um, Luckily, the bleeding stopped. The bleeding stopped. The pressure on my brain didn't get to the point where, it started to significantly damage the brain. There was some minor, damage, but nothing, again, that left me paralyzed or unable to function, and so, um it was a tough recovery process, though, coming back from that and then being so excited for my first year of high school football, and the doctors say, "Hey, so 1, you're not gonna play football this fall. 2, you should probably never play football again or any other contact sport." Um, and for me, that was like, "Well, what do you mean I can't play football? It's all I wanna do." Like, uh, and they said, "Look,
they
the way
didn't know
things
this was a
sit."
dream of yours
Yeah.
from
Yeah, the way things sit, they said, "If you sustain another severe enough head injury, you will be brain dead. That is where we're at." So, yeah, football's not a great idea. And I said, "Well, you know what? Screw you guys. I don't care. I'm gonna go play football." So I didn't play football that fall. I didn't play
Mhm.
football that fall, and I took some good time to recover. And luckily enough, I was able to recover to the point where I was able to wrestle that winter, and then play football the following fall. And so, it was a rather large bump in the road, on this kind of process. But super grateful that able to sit where I am today.
But your determination to play football never went away.
No, absolutely not. That
Do
was
you have any
definitely,
fears even today, or do you
sharks.
feel good answer, brother.
Um, no, I don't. I've had to invest, and I've invested a lot in just, my brain health. I take that very seriously, especially just, again, with my medical record. Um, it's something that I definitely invest in heavily, and so, uh, I don't necessarily fear. I don't fear when I'm out there playing
You
or that
shouldn't.
I'll have another injury like that. It's been 10 years now and no issues. And so I don't think I've had another concussion since. So that's been a massive blessing. And just continue to take care of that so we don't run into any problems.
No, and the human body is so resilient.
It
I
is.
assume that the brain, once healed, I don't know what scar tissue in the brain is like,
Yeah.
that, but
You probably do. You played football.
oh, hey man, oh baby,
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think,
there's
let's just say how it is. I
be
think you
honest,
probably have a
Mike.
little bit of scarring in that prefrontal.
I no
Yeah.
doubt do. I had a lot of that kind of stuff, and I loved football too. Football was a joy, and now I look at it at my age, and say, "How did we do that?"
Right. Yeah.
I watch you out there. Now, you have provided me with some extreme fun. I played defensive end in high school. I was a
Okay.
linebacker for 2 years at BYU, and I was a fullback or tight end the other 2 years. And so I played on both sides of the ball and have a great respect on both sides of the ball, but I believe that my favorite position that I ever played was defensive end.
It's a place to be.
Why? Why is defensive end so fun?
It's, I guess, tough to say. Um, One, we touched on this earlier. You get to be the hammer, not the nail.
Right.
You get to be the hammer, not the nail. That's a lot of fun. Um, Dealing with a bunch of 300-pound men, that isn't the funnest part of the job.
But you're a little quicker than they
Right.
are.
Exactly. But exploiting exactly their weaknesses is, and then chasing down the quarterback, chasing down the running back. It's a super fun position to play on the field.
It to me, there's a freedom there.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
you have some responsibilities.
You do.
You hit that tackle, you have some containment,
Mm-hmm.
you assess whether it's a pass or a run, and then, then you're free.
Then go make a
Go for
play.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that we went into this because there was, I think this again was the Arizona game.
Mm-hmm.
And you were on, I think you were playing left defensive end, and there was a little, I don't know if it's a sweep or a counter, but it went to the other side of the field. The running back, I believe it was the running back, was downfield, but on the opposite side of the field.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, Tyler Batty is the guy that makes the downfield tackle.
Yeah.
And now most of us fans are watching that guy go out of bounds that you hit. But I saw you doing a swimming move.
Oh yeah.
What was going on?
So
Tell me.
that was actually the quarterback. So
Okay.
that specific play, um, I'm trying to remember exactly what they ran.
Maybe he scrambled or maybe
I think he
they
did. He scrambled out of the pocket. I was chasing him out of bounds and ended up smacking him on the sideline. And when I hit him, I slid for probably a good 5 or 10 yards on the grass. Like
okay.
I was sweaty enough or the grass was wet enough. I just slid and just, just in kind of spur of the moment, I kind of started swimming on the grass.
I saw that and just said, that kid is having fun.
Yeah, I do like to have fun out there on the field.
All right, there was another play. Now,
Okay.
I haven't missed any of the home games except this one because my daughter in St. Louis, actually my granddaughter, had a bunch of volleyball games. So my wife and I flew out to St.
Okay.
Louis and we watched your Oklahoma State game. And now this was interesting. Who was it that made the interception that almost went for a pick six?
Oh, Tanner Wall.
Tanner?
Tanner Wall.
Tanner Wall.
Yeah, 28, one of our
I
safeties.
say Tanner Wall is lucky to be alive because, all right, there was kind of a scrum near the goal line, and he's almost into the goal line. And what I see is Tyler Batty grabbing Tanner Wall, this defensive back, so much smaller than Tyler, and you're trying to pull him across the goal line. But I think the Oklahoma State guys had other plans.
Yeah,
They were
they
pulling the
yeah, they were able to keep us out, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, he went down, and you didn't quite get him across the goal line. But I was just having so much fun watching you grab him and
Yeah.
try to drag him across the goal line. There's an interesting thing about watching football. When you've been in it long enough, when you've watched video or film for
Yeah.
so long, you can be watching the main play, and yet it's like peripheral vision. You see other things.
You pick up
I
on other little stuff.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
see, I just saw that.
Yeah.
Was he doing the breaststroke about that tackle, or did he almost break Tanner Wall in half? So anyway, thank you for having fun playing a game that's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. There's a lot of now just to touch on that real quick, there's a lot of pressure, right? You wanna win games, you wanna do good, and there's a lot of expectations. Um, but again, I think that's also something that's special about this team is guys remember to have fun. Guys remember to have fun, and they enjoy like I said, they love football, so they enjoy being out on that field.
I was on some teams where actually in 1979 we should have been undefeated, and we were what 10, 11 and 0, and then we gave away a bowl game. Um, And so, yeah, there's some pressure that comes on you, but as you as a team continue to have fun, as you strive to support one another, as you focus on the team goal rather
Yeah,
than your own personal stats, you guys will be fine.
I think so. I think, you know, I think we got some fun games ahead of us.
Keep those chips on your shoulder, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because every team, that's what we noticed is teams that looked terrible last week bring their A game against BYU when you're 8-0,
Yeah, you
whatever,
absolutely you have a little bit of a target.
every game.
Yeah, yeah.
So Tyler, I've asked all these silly questions and we've talked about these things. What are your final thoughts for our friends at Beyond the Game who are primarily BYU fans, but sports and just the story behind the game. What's something that we don't know about Tyler or this team that you'd like to share with us?
I think I would just say, just relay how grateful the team is, for the fans that we have. It makes a massive difference on the road. I mean, you guys saw the turnout we had at UCF. That was incredible. People are blown away by that. Other fans, other programs are blown away by the presence that we have all the way across the country. When we're at home, massive home field advantage.
And,
People are blown away by our game day
and the
experience.
games are
Yeah,
fun. I mean, they're
they are.
loud.
Yeah.
There's so much enthusiasm all over. It's
It is.
fun.
And that's it, we say it all the time. We have the best fans in the country, but our team believes it, and they're extremely grateful for it. So,
And it's fun. I don't know. We're looking forward to the basketball season too.
yeah.
And then the basketball team's down in that end zone
Yeah.
enjoying all
No,
your
exactly.
glory.
Yeah.
And you're probably back in my day, the Danny Ainge teams of basketball were going.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny how we all kind of built on each other's
Absolutely.
growth. And so
No.
keep that going.
Yes, sir.
Now you're a senior,
Indeed.
right?
This is it.
What are your goals?
Play football as long as I can.
We'd love that.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that?
Well, we're gonna keep winning some games, and then when the time comes, take a shot and see if we can't play some ball in the NFL.
That would be so phenomenal and fun. It's fun to get to know you, Tyler, and your determination, your enthusiasm. And it's fun to see that throughout your team. I think it kind of builds, you build on each other. So thank you, Tyler, for
Absolutely.
being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching another episode of Beyond the Game. Remember to click here to subscribe and click here to watch our recent videos. Also, please follow us on social media. And remember, go Cougs.